Ethan Clark, a human pilot, stared out of the cockpit window of his small spacecraft as it glided above the glowing forests of Virelia. The planet was unlike anything he had ever seen. Towering trees floated above the ground, their roots dangling like glowing ropes, and rivers of light moved through the air like gentle streams. Virelia was a world of beauty and mystery, home to the Xylarian Empire, one of the most advanced alien civilizations in the galaxy. Ethan's mission was simple, at least in theory. He was here to deliver messages of peace and friendship between Earth and the Xylarian Empire. Humans had always been curious about alien life, and this was their first official diplomatic contact. But simple missions rarely stayed simple. As his ship approached the capital city, a sudden alarm flashed across the dashboard. Red lights blinked frantically. Before Ethan could react, a swarm of small, fast-moving ships, space pirates, appeared out of nowhere. They fired bright energy beams at the city below. Ethan's ship shook violently as a blast grazed its side. He tried to maneuver, but the controls were not responding perfectly. "We're going down," he shouted to his co-pilot, a small AI companion named Lumo. Ethan's ship crashed in a dense, glowing forest near the royal palace. Smoke rose from the damaged engine and branches scratched the metal exterior. Despite the chaos, Ethan climbed out of the cockpit, checking himself for injuries. He felt a sharp pain in his arm, but nothing serious. Lumo scanned the surroundings. "Warning," Lumo said in a calm, robotic voice. "Life signs detected nearby. Multiple individuals. One appears to be critically weak." Ethan's heart quickened. He followed the scanner, moving carefully through the glowing foliage. Soon he found her. She lay on the ground, her body trembling and pale in the dim light. The alien princess Lyra was small and delicate, with shimmering skin that reflected the colors of the forest. Her large, expressive eyes were half closed, and she seemed to be in great pain. Ethan's instincts took over. "Hold on," he said softly. He checked her pulse, weak, very weak. She had been poisoned, he realized, probably in an assassination attempt. But who would dare attack the princess? He didn't have time to think. Her life was in immediate danger. Nearby, a group of Xylarians in ceremonial robes arrived, shocked to see a human. Their leader, an older female with glowing silver hair, stepped forward. You are human," she said, her voice trembling. "Why are you here?" "I'm here to help," Ethan replied quickly. "Your princess. She needs help right now." "I can try to save her." The royal attendants hesitated. They were experts in medicine, yet none of their advanced technology could stabilize Lyra. Her condition was worsening by the second. Ethan's eyes scanned the tools they carried, and a dangerous idea formed in his mind. Human blood. It had properties that could stabilize life in ways unknown to alien medicine. It was risky, but it might be the only option. "I can give her my blood," Ethan said carefully. "It may save her life. But it is dangerous for both of us. You must decide quickly." The Xylarians whispered among themselves, fear and uncertainty on their faces. They had never seen a human perform such an act. Finally, the elder nodded. "Do it. Save our princess." Ethan prepared a small medical device, sterilized the area, and carefully drew his own blood. He connected it to Lyra, feeling a strange nervous energy in the air. When the blood began to flow, Lyra's body shivered violently and her eyes opened wider. A soft glow spread across her skin like the light of 1,000 stars. "Ethan," she whispered weakly. Her voice was musical, unlike anything he had heard before. "I feel life." Ethan held her hand gently. "You're going to be okay. Just hang on." Minutes passed, though they felt like hours. Slowly, the princess' breathing steadied. Color returned to her cheeks and the trembling subsided. The glow in her eyes brightened as she opened them fully, looking directly at him. "Who are you?" she asked softly, her voice stronger now. "I'm Ethan Clark," he said with a faint smile. "I'm human. I just wanted to help." The court gasped in amazement. Never had they seen such an event. A human, a simple visitor from another world, had saved the life of their princess. Whispers of awe and disbelief filled the clearing. Ethan stepped back, exhausted but relieved. Lyra tried to sit up, but her strength was still returning. She reached for him and he helped her to her feet. The connection between them was undeniable, a strange energy flowing through the air, linking them in ways neither could explain. As the Xylarians helped Lyra walk, Ethan knew that this was only the beginning. Something had changed. not just for Lyra or for him, but for the entire Xylarian Empire. One simple act of courage and compassion could alter the course of history in ways no one could predict. And above them, the glowing forests of Virelia shimmered as if in approval, silent witnesses to the birth of an extraordinary bond between human and alien. After the crisis in the forest, Ethan stayed by Princess Lyra's side. The palace healers watched in silence, their advanced instruments failing to fully explain what had happened. Lyra's body had healed far faster than any Xylarian medical science could achieve, and her vital signs were now perfectly stable. Yet something else was happening, something no one could measure. Lyra's eyes followed Ethan wherever he went. When he spoke, she responded not only with words, but sometimes with expressions that seemed almost connected. For the first time in her life, she felt a strange warmth, a sense of life that was entirely new. Her strength was returning, and with it an unusual energy began to flow through her. The glow in her skin seemed to pulse slightly whenever Ethan was near. "Ethan, I can feel you," Lyra whispered one evening as he helped her practice walking in the palace garden. Her voice was calm but filled with wonder. "It's like I can sense your thoughts," Ethan blinked. "You can feel me?" He touched his chest, unsure what to make of it. "That's impossible. Maybe to your science," she said softly, a smile forming on her lips. "But it feels real. You saved me, and now something is connecting us." The palace healers murmured among themselves, trying to analyze the strange bond. One of them, an older Zalari named Kale, approached Ethan cautiously. "Human, this is unlike anything we have studied. Your blood, it did more than heal her. It formed a link between your species and hers." Ethan shook his head. "I just wanted to save her. I didn't expect." This Kale looked thoughtful. "Sometimes the simplest acts of courage reveal powers that science cannot explain. It seems humans carry something extraordinary." As the days passed, Lyra's recovery accelerated. She could now walk long distances, her energy almost boundless compared to before. Ethan noticed something else. When she concentrated, small objects around her would respond. A floating lantern would tilt slightly in her direction, and small screens flickered as if her thoughts influenced them. The healers were baffled, calling it resonance, but none could explain why it worked. Ethan realized that the blood bond was not just healing, it was giving Lyra new abilities. And the connection between them was mutual. Sometimes when she was in danger or afraid, he could feel a wave of emotion wash over him, as though he were experiencing her feelings firsthand. It was thrilling, but also overwhelming. One evening, while they walked through the palace gardens under the light of Virelia's twin moons, Lyra stopped suddenly. "Do you feel that?" she asked, her voice tense. "Something is coming." "Something dangerous." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "You mean an attack?" Lyra nodded, her glowing hands trembling slightly. "Yes, I can sense it. Not just near the palace, but far away as well. It's as if my senses have widened, and I think you can feel it too." Ethan closed his eyes. At first he felt nothing, but then a faint tremor, a warning deep inside him, mirrored Lyra's fear. The realization hit him like a shock. The bond was real and it was powerful. Not only could it help her heal, but it also allowed them to sense each other's emotions, thoughts, and dangers. "The blood. It connected us," he said quietly. "It's more than just healing, it's something I don't fully understand." Lyra reached out and touched his hand. The connection surged stronger, and both of them felt a warmth spread through their bodies. "We must learn to control it," she said. "If I can use this wisely, we can protect each other. And perhaps even more." Their training began immediately. Ethan taught Lyra some human strategies for thinking quickly in dangerous situations, while she showed him how to channel the strange energy flowing through her. They discovered that together, they could detect small movements in the palace, anticipate minor accidents, and even sense when palace machinery might fail. Meanwhile, news of the human who saved the princess spread across the empire. Some Xylarians hailed him as a hero, while others whispered doubts. "A human? Trusting our princess's life to a stranger?" they murmured. Others believed that humans were indeed extraordinary, capable of courage and qualities no alien species could match. Lyra, for her part, became fascinated with Ethan. She had never met anyone like him. His bravery, his selflessness, and his curiosity reminded her of qualities she had read about in history books. Tales of humans shaping their worlds with boldness and ingenuity. She began to wonder if perhaps humans were special in ways the Xylarian Empire had never imagined. One night, as the twin moons reflected on the palace's crystal towers, Lyra sat beside Ethan in the garden. "I feel alive," she said softly. "More alive than I ever have. You saved me, Ethan, and now I feel like we are part of something bigger." Ethan looked at her, the glow of her skin soft in the moonlight. "It feels like we are connected, in ways we don't yet understand. But I promise I will help you. Always." A new bond had been formed, one that would not only change their lives but could also alter the future of the Xylarian Empire. Together, human and alien, they began a journey that no one could have predicted, one filled with mystery, danger, and extraordinary potential. And as the soft glow of the forest surrounded them, Ethan knew that this was only the beginning of something incredible. The days after Lyra's recovery were not quiet. While the palace celebrated her survival, not everyone welcomed the human who had saved her. Whispers of doubt and fear echoed through the halls. Some nobles saw Ethan as a hero. Others saw him as a stranger who had broken centuries of tradition. Ethan noticed the stares as he walked through the corridors. Some Xylarians bowed politely, while others simply avoided his gaze. He didn't care much for politics, but he understood that the bond he shared with Lyra had changed everything. Humans were no longer just visitors. They were participants in the destiny of the Xylarian Empire. Lyra, meanwhile, was still adjusting to the strange powers the blood bond had awakened in her. Small acts of influence over energy and machinery now felt natural, and she practiced controlling them carefully with Ethan's guidance. He taught her patience and focus while she showed him how to sense subtle shifts in the palace environment. Together they became a team unlike any other, but danger was never far away. The assassins who had poisoned Lyra were still at large. Rumors reached the palace that a faction of nobles had conspired with outsiders to take control of the throne. The healers and guards worked tirelessly to protect the princess. Yet no one could predict when the next attack would come. One evening, Ethan and Lyra were walking through the palace's upper terraces, overlooking the floating city. "Ethan, I feel it again," Lyra said, her voice tense. Her glowing hands pulsed faintly. "Danger is near. Someone is watching us. Waiting." Ethan's heart raced. "Do you know who it is?" he asked. "No," she admitted. "But I can sense the intent. It is strong and hostile." The palace guards increased their patrols, but even they could not prevent the invisible threats. Ethan realized that relying solely on technology would not be enough. They needed strategy, cunning, and the unusual human-alien connection to anticipate attacks. Days later, an alarm sounded. Shadows moved swiftly through the corridors of the palace. Assassins had infiltrated the inner grounds. Ethan and Lyra reacted immediately. Lyra focused her energy, and with a soft wave of her hand, the lights in the corridor flickered, disorienting the intruders. Ethan ran ahead, guiding the guards and predicting the attackers' movements. Their teamwork was seamless, almost instinctive, as if the bond between them gave them a shared understanding of each other's thoughts. The intruders were defeated, but the incident sent shockwaves through the palace. The council realized that Lyra's powers, combined with Ethan's ingenuity, made them a force unlike anything the Empire had seen before. Some nobles began to reconsider their distrust of humans, while others grew more cautious, fearful that this bond could disrupt their control. Meanwhile, Ethan could feel the growing strength of the connection. When Lyra was hurt or scared, he felt it immediately, and he could sense danger before it arrived. It was exhilarating but also heavy with responsibility. He knew that protecting Lyra meant more than just defending her from physical threats. It meant guiding her, supporting her, and helping her master abilities that even she did not fully understand. Lyra herself was learning quickly. She discovered that she could sense not only threats but also emotions. When someone nearby felt fear, anger, or deceit, she could detect it. The blood bond amplified her awareness and allowed her to react with incredible precision. Together, she and Ethan began training in new ways, simulating attacks, testing her powers, and refining their coordination. One afternoon, as they practiced in a private training room, Lyra paused. "Ethan, do you realize what this bond means?" she asked, her eyes glowing softly. "Yes," Ethan replied. "It means we can protect each other, and maybe even protect the Empire. But it also means we have to be careful. Some people may fear what they don't understand. Lyra nodded, determination shining in her eyes. I will learn to control this power. I will not let anyone hurt my people. Or you. As the Empire watched, whispers of the human miracle spread. Across the floating cities, people began to speak of Ethan's courage and Lyra's extraordinary abilities. Some hailed humans as heroes capable of bravery and selflessness beyond imagination. Others remained wary, unsure of what the bond might mean for the future of their world. Despite the tension, Ethan and Lyra remained focused. They trained harder, studied their abilities, and prepared for the threats that would inevitably come. Every moment together strengthened their connection, building trust, understanding, and a sense of shared destiny. Then, a message arrived from a neighboring world, the Kryllids. A hostile species known for invading peaceful planets were moving toward Virelia. The news sent a chill through the palace. The assassins had been only a small taste of the dangers that awaited. The Empire now faced an enemy far larger, stronger, and relentless. Ethan looked at Lyra. This is it, he said. We need to be ready. Whatever comes, we'll face it together. Lyra's glowing eyes met his. Yes, she said firmly. Humans and Xylarians. Together we can overcome anything. And so, with danger closing in and the stakes higher than ever, the human and the alien princess prepared to face the challenges ahead. Their bond, born of courage and compassion, had already changed the course of history. But the trials of the future would test them in ways they had never imagined. The days after the warning of the Kryllids' approach were tense. The floating cities of Virelia were alive with preparation. Citizens moved quickly, reinforcing defenses and assisting the palace guards. Ethan worked alongside the Xylarians, offering tactical advice and sharing human ingenuity. Yet even with all the planning, the greatest advantage belonged to Lyra. Since receiving Ethan's blood, Lyra had not only recovered, but had grown stronger. Her powers, once subtle, had intensified. She could now control energy fields, manipulate small machinery without touching it, and even sense danger far beyond the palace walls. Most astonishingly, she had begun to heal others simply by focusing on them, her touch restoring life and strength in ways alien medicine could not. Ethan watched her in awe one morning as she moved through the palace garden. She paused, concentrating on a small broken fountain. With a gentle wave of her glowing hands, the water began to flow again, shimmering brighter than before. Guards and attendants stopped to watch, whispering in amazement. She is extraordinary, Ethan murmured to Lumo, his AI companion. I've never seen anything like this in humans. Or aliens. Lumo's sensors confirmed it. The energy resonance between you two has amplified her natural abilities. Human physiology combined with Xylari biology is creating unprecedented potential. Lyra approached Ethan with a small smile. It feels amazing, she said. Like I can do things I never imagined. But I still need your guidance. I cannot control it completely yet. Ethan nodded. We'll figure it out together. Step by step, their training became intense. They practiced moving quickly, reacting to threats and coordinating their abilities. Ethan taught her strategy, logic, and human improvisation, while Lyra helped him understand the energy resonance and its limits. Together they discovered that their bond allowed them to anticipate movements, predict danger, and act with precision. It was as if they shared a single mind during critical moments. But the palace was not the only place where change was happening. The Empire's citizens began to take notice. Stories spread of the human who had saved their princess and the powers she now possessed. For many it was inspiring. Humans had become symbols of courage, selflessness, and ingenuity, qualities that the Xylarian Empire had rarely associated with outsiders. Yet not all were pleased. Certain factions within the royal council feared the growing bond. A human influencing the princess? One elder whispered to another. This could disrupt our traditions, our way of life. Ethan overheard the whispers but did not let them distract him. He focused on the bigger challenge, the approaching Kryllids. Intelligence reports indicated the invaders were strong and relentless, planning to conquer Virelia's floating cities. It would take more than guards and weapons to defend the planet. It would take strategy, courage, and something extraordinary. One evening, Lyra invited Ethan to the palace's observation tower. The twin Moons reflected off the crystal towers, and the entire city seemed to glow in anticipation. I feel it, she said, her voice calm but determined. The bond between us. It can do more. Not just heal, not just sense danger. We can lead our people, protect them, and maybe even stop the Krylids before they reach us. Ethan felt a surge of pride and responsibility. You're ready, Lyra. We'll face this together. Humans, Xylarians, we're stronger when we work as one. Lyra smiled, her glowing hands pulsing softly. Yes, and we must train the others as well. I can teach them to sense energy, to feel danger. You can teach them strategy. Together we can make the entire empire stronger. The next days were filled with training, preparation, and planning. Citizens learned from Lyra's energy manipulation and Ethan's tactical lessons. Guards moved with greater awareness. Engineers adapted machinery to respond to Lyra's abilities, and the palace became a hub of organized energy. For the first time in history, human and alien cooperation created a force unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Even as Lyra's abilities grew, the bond with Ethan deepened. They could communicate without words, sense each other's emotions, and share insights instantly. The blood bond, once a desperate measure to save a life, had become a bridge between two species. It was a symbol of trust, courage, and shared destiny. Then the first warning arrived. Scouts reported Krylid ships in the outer atmosphere, moving swiftly toward the floating cities. The council panicked, but Ethan and Lyra remained calm. They had prepared for this. They had a bond, abilities, and strategy that no enemy could anticipate. Lyra looked at Ethan, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. This is our moment, she said. We have the power to protect our people. Together we can show the Krylids that Virelia will never fall. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility but also the strength of their bond. Then let's make sure they never forget who humans are, and what we can do when we act with courage. The Empire watched, the citizens waiting for the coming storm, and as the glowing forests of Virelia shimmered under the twin moons, Ethan and Lyra stood together, ready to face the challenges ahead. For in that bond, humanity had found a new meaning. One human's courage had saved a princess, awakened powers beyond imagination, and now prepared to defend an entire world. The day of the Krylid attack arrived. The floating cities of Virelia glowed under the twin suns, but tension crackled in the air like a storm waiting to strike. Ethan Clark stood beside Princess Lyra on the highest terrace of the royal palace. Below them, citizens and guards moved quickly, following the battle plans they had rehearsed. The air was electric, alive with anticipation, fear, and determination. Are you ready? Ethan asked, his hand brushing against hers. Lyra's eyes glowed softly. I am, she said. Together we can stop them. We have to protect our people, and show the Krylids the strength of this empire. From the sky, the first Krylid ships appeared, dark silhouettes against the glowing atmosphere. Their movements were swift, aggressive, and precise. Energy blasts began striking the outer defenses, sending sparks and debris flying. The Empire's guards fired back, but the enemy advanced relentlessly. Ethan turned to Lyra. Now's the moment. Let's put everything we've trained for into action. Lyra raised her hands, her glow intensifying. Energy surged around her, invisible to the untrained eye, yet tangible in its power. Machines responded to her will. Turrets aimed more accurately, shields strengthened, and barriers rose where she concentrated. Ethan coordinated the defenses, predicting enemy movements, giving orders with precision. Their bond made them nearly unstoppable. The Krylids, confident in their numbers, underestimated the human-alien alliance. Lyra sensed every shift in the battlefield, every flicker of enemy movement, and warned Ethan before the attacks could land. He adjusted the defenses, anticipating every strike. Together they became the heart of the Empire's resistance. Then a wave of Krylid fighters broke through the outer shields, heading straight for the palace. Lyra focused her energy, and the air around her shimmered like liquid light. A pulse of force radiated outward, knocking the attackers off balance and buying precious seconds for the guards to respond. Ethan's tactical commands flowed seamlessly, guiding reinforcements, directing evacuations, and using every advantage they had. As the battle raged, citizens watched from safe vantage points. They saw their princess glowing with light, her movements almost magical, and the human who had saved her now standing fearless at her side. Whispers of awe and hope spread through the crowd. Humans, they realized, were more than just visitors. They were beings of courage, ingenuity, and selflessness. The Krylid commanders realized their attack was failing. Every maneuver they attempted was countered with precision and insight. Lyra, feeling the bond with Ethan stronger than ever, amplified her powers. She created a protective field around the palace and nearby cities, channeling energy to shields, weapons, and defenders. Every attack that should have destroyed a building or taken a life was deflected or neutralized. Ethan could feel her focus, her determination, her care for every soul in the Empire. In return, he sent her calm, strategic thoughts, helping her manage the overwhelming power she wielded. Together, they acted as one mind, one heart, one force. Finally, the Krillid flagship emerged, massive and imposing, intent on destroying the palace. Lyra and Ethan stood ready. Lyra concentrated, drawing on the bond and the energy around her. Light burst from her hands, a stream of pure force that collided with the enemy ship. Ethan guided the energy, helping her focus it precisely on the flagship's engines. The vessel shuddered, sparks flying, and then exploded in a brilliant cascade of fire and light. The remaining Krillid ships, witnessing the destruction of their command, retreated in panic. The citizens of Virelia cheered, their floating cities safe once again. Ethan and Lyra stood together, glowing from the energy and adrenaline of victory, knowing they had changed the course of the Empire's history. Later, in the council chambers, the elders formally recognized Ethan's bravery. "This human," the council leader declared, "has not only saved our princess but also our entire civilization. Humans are beings of extraordinary courage, ingenuity, and heart. They are our allies, our protectors, and our inspiration." Lyra, fully recovered and more powerful than ever, looked at Ethan. "You believed in me when no one else could," she said softly. "You gave me life, strength, and courage. Together we've protected our people. I will ensure that humans and Xylarians remain united forever." Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth he had never experienced. "It was our bond that made this possible," he said. "Humans are strong, yes, but together with trust, courage, and compassion, we can achieve anything." The people of Virelia celebrated not just the victory, but the extraordinary alliance between species. Stories of Ethan Clarke, the human who gave his blood to save a princess, and Princess Lyra, the alien who rose stronger than ever, spread across the Empire. Humans were no longer strangers, they were heroes, symbols of hope, and the living proof that courage and compassion could change the galaxy. As night fell over the glowing, floating cities, Ethan and Lyra stood atop the highest tower looking at the stars. The bond between them remained stronger than ever. Together they had faced impossible odds, survived betrayal and danger, and proven that humanity's strength was not only in technology or skill, but in heart, courage, and selfless action. And so, a single act of kindness, a human giving his blood to save a dying alien princess, had reshaped the destiny of a world, forged an unbreakable bond, and shown the galaxy that humans were truly extraordinary. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, as if witnessing the rise of humanity among the stars, a force of hope, courage, and endless potential.